This episode of the Cult Popture podcast was brought to you by our Patreon. If you want to tell us which films we should watch, get up to 2 extra exclusive podcasts a month, give us something to talk about in the post-credit scenes at the end of each episode, or even contribute to the discussion in the episode itself, then please consider joining the cult and donating at www.patreon.com/cultpopture. That doesn't make sense, Jeremy, because the last time I saw her, she was newborn, and I, much like a newborn, do not have object permanence, so I cannot fathom with the idea of your daughter being any older than when I saw her 2 years ago.
You can't fathom? You can't fathom with?
Yeah, what did I say?
I can't fathom with the idea.
I can't fathom with it.
I can't fathom the idea. Is that what
what's he going to do with it? He can't fathom with it.
All right. Do you know what would have been funnier if we'd all contributed to my bit instead of being like, you said something slightly wrong, fucko, that's it.
People have been cancelled over much less.
Joke abandoned. We have to make him feel bad about himself now.
Well, that's the spirit of the pod, so I'm contributing the spirit of the actual pod.
Yeah. I cannot fathom with the idea of you feeling good about yourself.
What was I trying to say?
You're remarking...
I actually thought you just said fathom. I didn't pick up on the with.
Let's roll the tape back. I cannot fathom with... All right. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Cult Popture podcast. You're here with AJ. Hello.
Richard.
With Richard. Hello.
Jeremy. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And possibly a guest appearance from young Ivy at some point during the show. We can only hope and wait in bated breath.
Well, we can hardly call her young Ivy anymore. She's growing up right before our eyes.
This is it's somewhat late this year. We usually do this a bit earlier, but we are going to spend the next 2 off-week episodes, so the next 2 weeks total, or 3, would it be 3 weeks total, I guess, discussing the movies coming out in 2022, the ones that haven't come out. I'm on a Zoom call with Jeremy and Richard, both of whom have just taken off their shirts.
No, I did a reveal. I did a reveal that I had not been wearing a shirt the entire time.
If you'll excuse me, gentlemen, I'd love to join the club.
Oh, that's going too far.
This has also made me realise that I've had my air conditioner on this entire record, so I'm just going to turn that off. All right.
Right, you took it too far, AJ.
we every year we go over the films that are coming out in the year ahead. It is February, but there's still more year to go than there isn't year to go. So I think it's still a valid conversation to have. We're going to split this up over 2 episodes, and we used to call this series the most anticipated films of the year,
which
then
is
I was like,
by far a better name.
Oh, it's more accurate to what it is.
I disagree because we wanted to have it mirror our end of year podcast, which you both seem fine with calling the most disappointing films of the year.
We did also just recently learn that we've alienated a few potential fans by calling it most disappointing, because they're like, I don't want to listen to
well, not only have we alienated potential fans, we've alienated actual fans or existing fans of the podcast who listen to all of the other podcasts except for the one titled Most Disappointing.
So we retitled this to Dumbest Looking, then we retitled it to Dumbest Looking Movies We Hope Are Coming Out, because everything started getting delayed. But we learned on our Most Disappointing of 2021 episode that you fellas barely even saw a movie, so are you even going to see anything this year?
Is this going to be called The Dumbest Looking Movies Jeremy and Richard won't watch this year?
I'm not going to call it that, because I think that would be even more alienating, because someone's going to see that podcast title not knowing anything about the show and think,
like,
who the fuck is Jeremy?
Why would I care? Why would I care? So whatever, it's our most anticipated episode, or we can still crown.
It's the dumbest looking, but we're going to go through our most anticipated films.
But one of them will look the dumbest.
Oh, guys, guys, here she is.
Yeah.
Here she is.
Oh. Does she want to say hi?
Oh my God, she can walk. Don't show her us.
I don't want her to see me right now.
Hello, darling. You are supposed to be in bed. Ivy,
Uh-oh.
go back to bed.
Oh.
Go back
Daddy
to bed,
Jeremy.
darling.
This is very exciting.
I don't need that kind of street cred. Excuse me, if you could play some was it?
I don't know what joke you're making. Sorry.
What's the word I'm
you
looking
fucked
for?
up a joke, and now I'm going to call you out for it.
No, what's the word I'm looking for? Incidental music. That's right. Just play some incidental music, and I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Bang, 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 I'll probably just skip till he comes back.
Yeah.
There used to be a great tower alone on the field. The light from the dark side of me. My eyes become wide and the can't be seen.
Alrighty.
I knew Jeremy would be on board with it.
Get back for the baby part. Well, now I guess I have to include that whole. I'm going to speed that up so you sound like a little baby.
They're gonna think that.
All right,
they're gonna think
so-
really Ivy saying.
So we are going to go through the films that are coming out. This is what the podcast is. We're going to go through the films that are coming out in 2022, and we're going to discuss whether or not we think they look cool,
Yeah.
whether or not we anticipate them, or whether we think they are dumbest looking.
So we've got a list here that we've each marked our most anticipated. There is, I think, 3 films that we all marked as being on our most anticipated, so those will be fun. But yeah, I mean, we're recording this at the start of February, so we'll quickly go through January because these films have already been released.
And it's going to be 2 parts, and we don't know where we'll get up to, but we'll probably stop after an hour and a half-ish. So.
Yeah, and so the other sort of thing I tend to like to point out is this list is compiled from looking at things like Rotten Tomatoes most anticipated, or like articles people say what their most anticipated movies are, and also just reading the Wikipedia list of movies that come out. Like there might be this obscure indie darling that your friend worked on that you're surprised we didn't mention. Like it might not have a Wikipedia page yet, and that's kind of
Like some obscure piece of crap that your friend worked on.
Well, no, and also because it happens every year that when films are the films that end up being nominated for Best Picture, most of them we haven't heard of a year earlier, and so you might know about the best film of the year, but because of your connections or whatever, or you've done your research, but that doesn't mean everyone does. So this tends to be more your kind of big releases or something newsworthy or notable about it. Otherwise, so starting off January, first film of the year is a film called The 355, which is it's female assassins. And I said to you, AJ, and that when this film, I saw a trailer for this, and it looks like John Wick with girls, and I said I think that right-wing YouTubers who don't like this movie are gonna, and if it doesn't do as well as expected at the box office, they're gonna call their videos "John Woke Goes Broke at the box office."
Very great.
Which I guess they could have done with Atomic Blonde as well, but John Woke. I think that's what people are going to call this movie.
I found out this movie existed while watching a trailer for it in a cinema while seeing a different movie, which I don't think I've discovered a movie exists through those means in years.
I did the same.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
No Time to Die?
No, it was much later than that. It was probably I saw No Time to Die
Yeah.
much earlier than you guys
Yeah,
did.
sorry. It was when I saw No Time to Die.
I think it might have been Scream, I think.
Yeah. This
Or The
this directed
Matrix, maybe?
Yeah. This is directed by Simon Kinberg, whose directorial debut was Dark Phoenix.
Very cool.
Very sexy.
Very all-around cool guy, Simon Kinberg.
Also, already out now, we've got Hotel Transylvania 4, or Hotel Transylvania Transformania. This time they're humans, but that one person is a monster. It's a Amazon Prime exclusive in New Zealand, which surprised me. I just started seeing billboards for it.
Yeah.
There's a billboard real close to my work for it, and I see it every morning, and I go, huh. So also in January, we we had Scream, which AJ, we've already recorded a podcast about. We both marked it as on our most anticipated, and I fucking, oh my god, what a good movie! Like to try and summarize my thoughts of what I was anticipating about it. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on our Patreon episode, which you can check out now, and. Yeah, I think both of us going into it thought, well, there's no way that this can be as good as I want it to be. And then it ended up being so much fucking better than that. And my God, what an incredible film. I hope that at the end of the year, this is still my favorite film. Or I hope it isn't. I hope this is my least favorite film of the year, which means that I saw 50-ish even better films, which I cannot fathom with the idea.
Wow, there we go, bringing it back. No, I agree. I think it's if you're worried that the ball is going to be dropped with Scream, aka Scream 5, can confirm it is great, and at the very least, not the worst Scream movie. So that's
at the best, it's the best Scream movie.
Exactly.
At best. So also in January, I guess this came out, the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild, new Ice Age movie.
Yeah, it's been dormant for a long time, and here it is with what I've read is a extraordinarily cheap-looking Ice Age spin-off with none of the original characters. Apparently, get this, here's something we can all talk about. Apparently, Scrat isn't in this movie.
What the hell?
Doesn't that sound like the most just why? What? That's your movie. That's the linchpin of the entire Ice Age franchise.
Yeah. It does have the original characters. They're not voiced by any of their correct actors. But Control F. Scrat.
It's like having a Mr. Bean short without the 3-wheeled car.
It's what a wonderful reference.
Thank you.
I think it's exactly like that. A strange little observation. This is the last film for January that we're going to be talking about. And isn't it interesting that out of the 4 we've talked about so far, the second 3 are sequels that don't have a number delineating them, and the other one isn't a sequel, which is only numbers, the 355. Isn't that a fun little thing that I noticed, guys?
So, yeah, that is very fun. So actually, Disney doesn't have the rights to Scrat, is why.
What?
Yeah, so they got the right, because they own Blue Sky Studio. Yeah, because they own 20th Century Fox now. But on March 11th, 2020, Disney relinquished all of its remaining trademarks to Scrat after reaching a new settlement with Ivy Supersonic, who had been involved in various lawsuits and protests regarding the status of the character's trademark protests. They did like a march through the street about
like
Scrat.
a free Scratney movement or something.
Yeah. As a result, this settlement prevented the character from appearing in the film. Eventually, on July 7th, 2020, Ivy would win a 20-year trademark dispute over the character. She's only bloody 2.5. Which would cause Disney to lose the rights to the character because the Scrat was absent in the 2022 film, The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild, making it the first Ice Age film without the character. It does have Simon Pegg returns as Buck Wild, but...
So is Scrat just living on now as like a Blue Sky mascot who's just bastardized, like homeless, like lost his home? He's like a what is he in the Terminal? Tom Hanks is like that.
Oh, he's like without a country.
Yeah.
He's like Rambo. He's a drifter.
Poor Scrat. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to get solo Scrat movies now that don't take place?
Just made by Ivy.
Yeah, that don't take place in the same canon as the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild.
Just don't misspell it.
Cuck Wild.
Is it really called The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Which is interesting rather than just Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild.
Yeah.
So, coming out tomorrow when we're recording this, a few days ago when you're listening to this, we've got a few movies. Moonfall, one, the new from Roland Emmerich, about the moon falling to Earth. I saw the trailer for this.
Have you ever noticed? Have you noticed that the moon's getting closer?
And then it hit me.
Why?
So it's one of the most expensive independently produced films of all time, apparently, at a budget of $140 million. And apparently it's an indie film.
That's wild considering this looks like the definition of an assembled by committee action film.
Yeah. So yes, it's Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, Michael Pena, a few other people.
Oh, it's just amazing to see Patrick Wilson like headlining a film. Being the lead actor of a film. He's famously the sort of second fiddle guy in so much.
Well, it's sort of he's made a name for himself in horror because he's the lead in which one? Insidious and The Conjuring universe.
Hence why I have not actually seen any of that.
Is he Insidious? Yeah.
This also stars John Bradley as the quirky comic relief character, the essential character in any Roland Emmerich or Roland Emmerich-esque action disaster movie, who people will probably know more as the Samwise Gamgee clone in Game of Thrones, which is interesting to see, all the Game of Thrones actors doing their various bounce backs from the sinking ship that was that show. And I guess John Bradley is going to rebrand as quirky comic relief in serious action.
He jumped from a sinking ship to a falling moon.
That's very good, Jeremy. So I saw the trailer for this. I was somewhat aware of its existence, and I saw a trailer for it at Dune the other day, which I finally seen.
Let's not talk about
last
it.
time we talked, I hadn't seen it. Yeah, no. There's not much really to say, but so this trailer, it's like it looks exactly like Geostorm or one of those kind of movies, and then as the moon, like parts of the moon are falling to Earth, it goes like dun, 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 I see a bad moon rising, and I cackled in the theater, and I was like, oh my god. Of course.
It's the combination of Bad Moon Rising being like an overused trailer song and it appearing in a trailer for a movie about a moon being bad.
But it actually it's a slowed
also
down
the
version
opposite
of
Rising.
Yeah, exactly. It's not it's about a bad moon falling. But it's like, oh my god, one of the funniest fucking needle drops I've heard in so long. Probably not gonna watch this film unless it's on Netflix by the end of the year and I'm real bored, or when I'm in MIQ later on.
I mean, seriously though, Roland Emmerich. I mean, if there's ever a director that you just know is going to be just a ton of bullshit, but it's like going to be somewhat enjoyable if you can manage to turn your brain off, it's a fight. It's a fight between him and Michael Bay for like an auteur of bullshit.
Yeah.
So there's a movie also. If we do want to throw on a few little indie darlings in here, there's a movie called Nitram. Which is based on the 1996 Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania, which is what introduced sort of gun reform. And it stars Caleb Landry Jones as a character called Nitram, which, fun fact about the word Nitram, it's my last name backwards, Martin, because that was the name of Martin Bryant, the killer. So, I guess it's one of those, not wanting to completely put his name and image in the public eye. But yeah, Caleb Landry Jones is great.
And now to slingshot to the other side of seriousness of subject matter.
Yeah. Oh, that was right. Okay,
because now we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Jackass Forever, which AJ, you and I have marked as some of our most anticipated of the year.
Jeremy doesn't, because he's a dad now. Doesn't have time for the silly, immature nonsense. They could get hurt.
I actually just like... I was watching something about the release of that they're making this film, and I genuinely was just like, this is so just sad. It's sad that these
No.
old men in their 50s now, is like, this is the way that they can continue to make
49,
money.
it says in the trailer.
This is the only way they can continue to make money, is to return to these people that they used to be. And it's just,
It's so funny because I actually, honestly, I thought you could have gone either way on Jackass. I've been waiting to record this because I've been curious. I was going to invite you to go with me, but I guess I won't now.
Well, I'd still go.
But yeah, it seemed like because of like when you would have come of age and when you would have been at the prime age to find Jackass funny.
I was smack dab in the middle of the target market for the original Jackass.
Yeah.
Like, I freaking loved it.
So, right, so you don't have nostalgia for like this new one?
No.
Well, like obviously you don't have nostalgia
like,
for the new one.
I think it's like seeing these actors doing all of that again, but like as 50-year-old men. It's like when you see someone who, like, you know, you haven't seen since high school, and they're still exactly the same person as they were in high school, and they're like trying to drag you into the way that you all behaved and joked around at high school, and you're like, oh dude, life's moved on. Like, we're all doing other things now. Is this still what you want to do?
I will say, I think Johnny Knoxville looks great with the grey hair. I think he rocks it. It looks fantastic, and it's cool that you can tell when you're watching the movie, you'll be able to tell what was shot before and after shutdown because he let himself go grey during lockdown.
Oh, wow. Jeremy, all the stuff you said about it being sad that they're returning to this, that's entirely the appeal for me. I think that's very funny for them to still be doing this. And I mean, you know, technically, this is a distant sequel. This is a Logan-style send-off for some characters I would have never expected to get a Logan-style send-off. Those characters being Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, but not Bam Margera, who is not appearing in the film.
Or Wee Man.
No, he
Wee
is.
Man's in it.
Wee
What?
Man's in
I thought he died.
No,
Oh my god, Jeremy, I thought you were better than this. People talk about like, no, or like, it's like when I was in high school, people were like, no, did you hear Wee Man died? And it's like, then when Ryan Dunn died, it's like, think of how big a news story Ryan Dunn dying was. Do you not think you would have actually heard about Wee Man dying? Not just from like, oh, no, he did. Or don't look it up, but he did.
I hope Steve from Blue's Clues is in Jackass forever as well.
It's got.
Are you okay, Jeremy? You look like you've got a bleeding nose or something.
Sorry, I just thought
Looks like you're having a bloody
the
conniption.
way that you worded that, Richard, just made me think of something that I really, really would love to say as a joke, but I cannot on pod.
Very enticing. Speculate on the Discord, everybody, what Jeremy didn't say.
But it's got a bunch of guest appearances. Tony Hawk, Matt Hoffman, Tori Belleci from Mythbusters, Eric Andre, Machine Gun Kelly's in it, Tyler the Creator, the Dudesons.
The Dudesons are in it! I love the Dudesons! I love the Dudesons, man! They're so funny.
And also, Spike Jonze is like a massive part of Jackass, which is so fun. Like, this is probably the most involved like Spike Jonze movie we've gotten since Her. Like, literally, like this is his freaking Spike Jonze filmography is like since 2009. Where the Wild Things Are, Jackass 3D, Jackass 3.5, Her, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa 0.5, Jackass Forever, and the upcoming Jackass 4.5, which they've said they're doing. It's going to be on Netflix, I believe, later this year. Yeah, Spike Jonze, man, come back to film.
He is, with Jackass Forever.
Yeah, and we're going to go see it.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks great.
Man. Yeah. I can't wait to have to watch parts of it through cracks in my fingers, though, like I have with every Jackass movie. So also this month we've got a film called Kimmy, which is set during COVID, and it's directed by Steven Soderbergh. Soderbergh's cool. It's about an agoraphobic tech worker who discovers evidence of violent crime while reviewing a data stream, and she has to then venture out of her apartment into the city streets to take matters into her hands. It's played by Zoe Kravitz.
I'm glad that this is set during COVID, but it's not about COVID. That's
I
an
was just about
very
to say
important
that.
distinction, because I do
Yeah.
not want to
Yeah.
see a single second of a movie that is about COVID.
Well, it is interesting though that we've got to that point where now we are getting movies that are enveloping COVID into the plot. There's a big
it'd be
push
easier to
against it
film
for a long time.
I guess, wouldn't it? Like,
I guess so.
which I get, like, was the thing that what's the CSI or one of those shows, SCU, I think, they just, like, you know, most characters are socially distanced and wearing masks, and it's like, well, you can just film with the precautions that you have to also have on set, just work into the plot. But yeah, it's like the idea of someone overcoming agoraphobia when I think it's a lot more relatable now, not wanting to go outside. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, Jeremy, next we got one that you put as your most anticipated, which I've just noticed. Death on the Nile. You're a big Army Hammer fan, I believe.
Yeah, you put this as your most anticipated, Jeremy, because you've got bingo on which of the cast is going to get cancelled next before the movie comes out.
Oh, that's right, because Army Hammer's in this, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Letitia Wright's in it as well, who
Who's Letitia?
the woman who's going to be fired from the MCU after Black Panther Forever, Wakanda Forever.
What?
Because she is very loudly anti-vax.
She plays Shuri.
Right,
in,
yeah.
Black Panther.
The less we know about these people, the better, I think.
Yeah, and also Gal Gadot, who should just be cancelled for being
Imagine all
for the Imagine video.
people.
I don't think Imagine gets people cancelled. It's more just maybe you don't watch them and things. I think we need to be designating very special circumstances for people being
You
cancelled.
can't say anything these days.
Shut up.
No, I mean, so Death on the Nile, so Murder on the Orient Express was seriously disappointing. But there is just something about oh, look, I'm getting my picks for most disappointing in really early this year. So I'm anticipating this one so that I can be super disappointed later. No, I mean, Murder on the Orient Express, the original film, brilliant, so good. I think I talked about it on Most Disappointing when the most recent Murder on the Orient Express came out. Kenneth Branagh as Hercule Poirot is great casting, and I bloody love a big Hollywood kind of ensemble piece where everyone stands around in rooms and kind of goes, "Ugh," you know, like and there's
It's just murder.
yeah,
there's character posters released where it's like the Duchess and the Butler.
yeah, it's so soapy.
cannibal.
It's really like just soapy and
The
fun
murderer.
and cool, and you know, imagine that. I mean, obviously, I think we've got Knives Out 2 coming out later on this year, which is going to be far
Spoil
better,
the podcast.
far better than this. But
Did the first one come out the same year as? No, it didn't. It came
No.
out after Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
after, a couple years after.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for it. I love the costumes, love the period drama kind of vibe, but also I love a whodunit. It's always great. So and also I think Gemma will watch this with me. So it's one that I'm anticipating just because I'm like, oh, cool. Here we go.
Nice.
For those of you playing at home, Ivy is Jeremy's daughter. Gemma is Jeremy's wife. Just
Where have you been? I expect that you've been, mainlining these ones.
So next we've got a film called Marry Me, which the description on the Google Doc I made, I don't think I wrote this.
I wrote this.
So
The thing is, as soon as I saw the title, all I got was just maybe from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Marry me.
So this film, I thought this came out 3 years ago. But yeah, this is it's a romantic musical comedy drama, and so
Musical?
the plot is that I think it's to do
because
with
she's a
music.
pop star. Yeah.
So it's
J-Lo.
J-Lo's character finds out her onstage partner, like Paolo from the Lizzie McGuire movie, is having an affair behind her back, and so she goes, "Well, all right then."
So she's crucial plot context here. She was about to marry him on stage in front of all of her fans.
Right. Well, that's not on the Wikipedia.
Oh, so she's
line synopsis.
the conceit at the beginning of the movie is that she's a pop star who's about to like do a big, huge televised like live wedding in front of a concert of all of her fans, and then she finds out like moments before that her fiance's cheating on her, and so then she basically goes and like picks a random fan out of the crowd and says, "All right, I'll marry you."
Who's holding up a sign that says "Marry Me"?
Yes.
Hence the title of the film. That
And
fan
who plays
is played
that
by
guy?
Owen Wilson.
Oh, okay. Count me interested.
Yeah, so I
Color
probably
me
won't watch
intrigued.
that. Another movie that I might hate watch. God,
Oh, but Richard, you didn't read out what the description was that I wrote.
Oh, you right? Yeah, you're right. Jennifer Lopez creates a movie out of Married at First Sight.
Are we to
Jeremy.
expect these coloured commentaries?
Not at all. No, that was the only. I was like, how do you steal the format for a reality TV show and say,
Lost,
right, I'll make a movie out of that?
Lost made 6 seasons out of it.
Out of what TV show? Oh, Survivor, right?
That was like in Hot Fuzz where they're like, well, he murdered Shakespeare, and he's like, what? Oh.
So yeah, one of the biggest films of 2019, just in height, I'm talking, was is getting a sequel, Tall Girl 2. It stars Steve Zahn, so AJ.
Yes.
You like Steve Zahn?
I know, but I refuse to watch Tall Girl because I have zero sympathy for tall people. I think their problems are nowhere
AJ,
near
his
as
shoes are
bad.
big. Come on.
In the words of Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing. Nothing.
Oh, so I watched the original Tall Girl. Did you watch it in the end, AJ?
No.
Okay.
It
I thought
offended
you
me.
did, Jeremy. So Tall Girl is about like literally the opening narration of the monologue is like of the movie is like, you think your life is tough? I've got size 11 men's shoes. But it's like it's literally like, I don't give a fuck what you think your problems are. I'm tall and nobody likes me. And yeah, then she falls in love with this like foreign dude who's the only person even taller than her. But also I think in the text of the movie, she's like not even that tall.
I don't want to talk about this. Let's move on.
I honestly, I'm so disinterested in this. I would like us to just delete that whole section off the pod.
Like just
how tall is
Richard
Tall
half
Girl?
remembering what the first one's about and then being like, and I think the entire conceit isn't actually accurate.
she's 6 foot.
Wow, what a tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty big, but also, and her best friend, who she ends up falling in love with, is named Dunkelman.
I thought she fell in love with this other student.
Yeah, so AJ.
Okay.
This is
No,
the
no,
most
no, no more.
Shut
No
up,
more.
Jeremy!
formulaic-
Shut up, Jeremy!
This is the
What
most
happened?
formulaic romantic. So there's this foreign exchange. He ends up being a douchebag, but
Ah.
she's got this guy Dunkelman who
Dunkelman.
follows her around everywhere. He's in love with her, but he carries
Dunkelman.
this milk crate everywhere. Like I think he carries his books in this milk crate. And then right at the end of the film, she's like, "All right, I'll give you a shot," kind of thing. And realizes she likes him as well. And then she's like, "But hang on, why do you carry around this milk crate all the time?" And then he tips it out, puts it upside down, and then stands on it so that he's at her level to kiss her.
I love that. I'm going to watch this movie now.
Do you actually? Because when it's an awful movie, and AJ, you will hate it even more than I did. But I was like, that's actually a really nice plot beat.
AJ, I thought you were about to say, I love that. I'm going to start carrying around a milk crate now.
Yeah.
Hey, tall girl, you want to kiss, huh?
So the sequel reportedly followed Jodie as the popular girl after her rise to power in the first film.
Rise to power. What is
She
this?
begins to feel the pressure of popularity, which causes problems with her relationship with Dunkelman.
What could those problems be, I wonder?
She's gotten
Like-
even taller.
And he has shrunk.
I reckon the new girl at school is going to be even taller than her.
Please,
So-
God, can we move to the next film, which none of us have marked as our most anticipated, but I feel we should still probably discuss.
Absolutely, we should talk about it. Uncharted. So this is one that like under different circumstances, would be my most anticipated of the year, based on my favorite video game franchise, some of the best media I've ever consumed, and this movie just looks real fucking painful.
No, sorry. Can I just for a moment? Can I just be AJ?
Yeah.
Will this be the movie to break the video game movie curse?
See, here's the thing.
How much do you want to bet us?
Here's the thing.
Oh, what's going to be our bet this year?
The amount of times that Jeremy has done, I'm going to pull an AJ, and then say something that neither of us recognize as being an AJism or an ageism, as we could call them. But that was very good. And I'm not going to ask that question now, because I reckon, and this isn't a bet because I doubt I'll get much disagreement, I reckon it's sub 45 on Rotten Tomatoes, this film.
Yeah, I would guess 38.
And it's interesting because you hear they're making an Uncharted movie, and you're like cautious, like, okay, I don't know if you're familiar with Uncharted the games at all, Jeremy, but like kind of
at all.
So kind of the point is like, what if an adventure movie was a video game? Like that's almost the gimmick of the game.
Okay.
So to then
like the
make
games
it a
are very
movie,
cinematic, and that's the point of the games. Yeah, and
it's like retconning something that was a retcon of
Yeah, it's kind of missing the entire function of it, which is that that's supposed to be a game because it is a movie already. There's Indiana Jones. We've got
an Ouroboros.
Yeah, and so already like that's playing on your mind. But you're like, look, it's a good series. You could probably adapt the first game in 90 minutes, and it would be fine. And then they announced that they've cast Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, who again, Jeremy, looks nothing like the main character.
Is this like a Tom Cruise, Jack Reacher situation?
So Nathan Drake in the games would be late 30s, I would imagine.
He's a Nathan Fillion type.
Nathan Fillion type, yeah. Nathan Fillion was actually fan cast as Nathan Drake in a short film, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And so they were like, we're gonna do a small, like almost like a prequel-y kind of like young Nathan Drake thing.
Well, for a long time, Mark Wahlberg was attached as Nathan Drake.
Oh, really?
For like 10 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so David O. Russell was going to direct, and Mark Wahlberg was starring as, and it was like the one constant from when we're making an Uncharted movie was announced until now is that Mark Wahlberg was playing Nate, and then one day they said no, Mark Wahlberg's still going to be in it. He's playing Sully,
right? And
who's
Sully,
the mentor character,
is it's even more of a spectacular miscast.
Yeah, who's Sully, who is a Bruce Campbell type.
Yeah, right. So you can surprise people with one outside the box casting where it shouldn't be too hard to just cast someone who fits the role from the video game. But to do it twice, I think, was the first like true red flag. And the trailer doesn't look very good. It looks like a homogenized mess of all the games.
Directed by Ruben Fleischer, who's been not that great, but it's so many directors have come and gone from this thing. But also there's one thing, so when the first images of the movie were released, Mark Wahlberg was clean shaven, and the character of Sully famously has this moustache. It's a big part of his character, kind of thing. And people are like, "Oh, I can't wait for the post-credit or the final scene of the movie where he has a moustache," and they go, and he's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about keeping it." And then in the trailer, that scene is in the trailer where he comes into Tom Holland's sitting there, and Sully busts in, and he's like, "What is that on your face?" And he's like, "Hey, puberty's coming soon. You can grow your own, pal." And there's no other shots in the trailer of him with the mustache, so you know it's at the end of the movie.
I really want to paint the picture, Jeremy, for how bad of a miscasting is. So that's how Mark Wahlberg speaks, right, in all of his roles. This is how 100%. Sully speaks in the game, is like, "What do you think, kid? You think you're up for another adventure?" Like
I'm sweating like a hooker in church.
Yeah, like he's like a rough, gruff mentor,
like
and probably
J.K. Simmons kind of type.
Yeah, totally. Like in his
J.K.
like
Simmons,
60s.
Bruce Campbell, even like Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston would be a great Sully. Yeah. So anyway, this just looks.
Actually, Stephen Lang plays him in that fan film where Nathan Fillion plays him.
Yeah.
Plays Nate.
So I think ultimately though, what is annoying here is that they cast the two main characters and they're nothing like the characters in the game, and then the response from the filmmakers is like, trust us, we know what we're doing. And so you go, okay, I will. And then the trailer and all the promotional stuff comes out. It's like, why did I trust you? This doesn't look like you're doing anything with these strange outside the box casting choices. Tom Holland is not going to grow into the role. He's going to look like that in 15 years still. Like,
yeah, it's I part of me, like, when it was first announced, part of me was like, hey, this is the way to, you know, take the Uncharted brand and do something interesting with it. When they said, you know, Tom Holland's going to play him, I was like, yeah, no, fuck, go young with it. And then he blew up and, you know, ended up everywhere, and now, you know, people are getting kind of sick of him. And then just the fucking Mark Wahlberg casting is like just so woefully miscast.
It's giving, I'll tell you what, it's giving Moonfall a run for its money for the dumbest looking film of 2022.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Which would be more effective if we're at the end, but I believe we are still in February.
We are. We're not even, we've still got a few to go in February as well. So,
He says with an enormous sigh.
also, we've got a film called Dog coming out, which is directed by Channing Tatum and Reed Carolyn. It's their directorial debuts, and it's about a US Army Ranger tasked with bringing a dog down the Pacific coast in time to attend her handler's funeral. It's a comedy road trip movie.
Has anybody else, have we beaten anyone to the joke that there was also a movie called Pig and a movie called Lamb in the last year? Are we the first people to do this?
Is there a joke?
Well, just
it sounds.
Do I have to have seen Lamb and Pig to understand Dog? I'm making myself laugh. What's next,
right,
Richard?
Well, let's move on. Yeah, please. So this is one that you marked as one of your most anticipated, presumably a few days ago.
Yes, before I saw the trailer.
So this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was filmed a wee while ago, and was slated for a release anytime in 2021, and then they said, we'll just chuck this one on Netflix. And then the trailer came out a few days ago, and I'm going to give you the option, AJ, to remove it from your most anticipated.
Oh, I mean, we should still definitely talk about it, but yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if I'll see this now. So here are the
absolutely.
two...
We're doing a podcast on it.
Oh, okay. Here are the two things I knew about this movie before seeing the trailer. I knew that it was ignoring all the sequels since the first movie, so it's a direct sequel to the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think is an excellent film. And it stars Elsie Fisher from 8th grade, and I was excited to see them in something new because they haven't been in anything that I've seen since 8th grade, and they're very funny on Twitter, and I was like, good for them. But then I watched the trailer, and there are a couple of cool looking shots in the beginning, and then it started to look really fucking bad, and in what looks like I watched this when I was half asleep, so maybe I need to watch it again. But, am I correct in thinking part of the plot is they're bringing back the sole survivor from the first film?
Yeah, Sally Hardesty.
She's
been recast. No, they originally just died in 2014.
That's so... Why would you bring the character back then? So obviously they're trying to bank on Halloween, the recent Halloween movies, and not just because it's a sequel that ignores every other movie, but also because it brings back heavyweight Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. I'm telling you, makers of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 100% of the reason to do that is because of Jamie Lee Curtis and not the character Laurie Strode. And in a similar way, they shouldn't bring back the character anyway, but recasting her, it removes all of the metatextual juiciness out of even doing that. This looks like a somewhat of a miss, and I heard that wasn't it, people in the Discord were talking about, apparently this was going to go to theaters, and then Lionsgate were like, we do not want anyone to see this movie.
So there's a bit in the trailer, at the end of the trailer, that really has to be seen to be believed, and it's Leatherface in full chainsaw, wearing a mask made out of human skin, about to kill a group of Gen Zs, and they all pull out their phones, and the leader says, "Try anything, you cancelled, bro." And it's like, and so I was telling people about this at work, and they said, because I asked if that's in the trailer, and they said, "Oh, so they're doing like a comedy," and I was like, no. This film is not a comedy.
No.
that is not a comedic beat in the film. That is a badass kiss-off line.
And I'll tell you what, it's giving Uncharted and Moonfall a run for its money for the dumbest looking film of 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. So also, last one for Feb, we've got Studio 666, which is it looks like a fun little movie about the Foo Fighters moving into a haunted mansion to record their next album, and then horror shenanigans start occurring.
I think it'd be very easy to be cynical about the Foo Fighters doing a movie, but it's probably going to be nothing more than what they're promising on the tin. And that's
Why would
fine.
you be
That's cool.
cynical about Foo Fighters?
I'm not.
doing
I'm
a
saying
movie?
like it's like the old Beatles movies and the old Monkeys movies. Like,
Yeah, I
cool.
think that Foo Fighters have built their entire career on like being very self-aware and
yeah, exactly.
and silly. And
Yeah, I mean, doing this kind of movie is the only way for the Foo Fighters to make me interested in anything that they would do.
wow, coming out hot, hating the Foo Fighters.
I mean, they had their place 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Foo Fighters are great. Anyway, next film we've got to talk about is the first one that we've all marked as our most anticipated, somewhat begrudgingly so on my part, but this is Matt Reeves' The Batman.
This might be sadly my most anticipated film of the year, and I hate how basic that makes me. That like The Dark Knight in 2008 could very well be seen as the
Greatest movie ever made.
the true kickoff point for me and my interest in film, like truly the movie that made me want to make movies. And I would hope that all these years later, 14 years later, that I would be more mature enough to be like, no, I'm looking forward to this or that. But no, I think it's doing it for me. It looks really good.
Do you realize, AJ, how chuggy you sound right now?
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
even know what that word means, Jeremy.
That's chuggy. So, this movie.
Wait,
was
what does that
recently-
mean? What do you mean I sound chuggy?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
just Google it.
Google chuggy, but basically it's what Gen Zers say to millennials.
So why are you saying it?
Because I'm just aware
'Cause I'm not
of how
chuggy.
chuggy it sounds. Like, oh man, Dark Knight, man, a real high point in cinema. Like, it's very chuggy.
Right. Oh, it's that thing Gen Z do where they act like they're better than commonly held opinion on some of the best art ever made. Cool.
Well, it's just what every generation does to the previous generation's stuff that they liked.
Pulp Fiction's a Gen X movie. I think that's great as an
that's-
example.
The like chuggy is like, it's chuggy refers more to like live, laugh, love kind of shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that
Generally,
like the live, laugh, love of millennials is like going on about The Dark Knight in 2022.
Yeah. The live, laugh,
I think
love
it's that
of
for millennial film buffs, maybe. I think I'm jumping through a few more hoops in the stereotype I'm conforming to. I'm just I went into this regretfully talking about how lame I felt that the Batman was my most anticipated
No, I know.
film.
I'm just
Yeah.
putting.
I'm aware I'm chuggy. That's
I'm
the whole
giving
point.
you a helpful. I'm giving you a helpful word to describe the feeling that you're feeling.
Okay, thank you so much, Richard. What are you expecting?
So it was recently revealed that this film is 2 hours and 55 minutes long, which, my God, could not could there be a sentence more designed to turn me off a film.
On the horizons,
It's
why do the white doves
What is this a
call?
reference to?
I believe what Jeremy's saying is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King is that long.
Thank
Oh.
you. Thank you.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Richard, it's the second longest comic book movie ever made after Endgame, which you love.
Oh, fantastic. Should have been longer, frankly.
I do agree that seems crazy long, but I don't know. I'm just such a chuggy.
It's like
chuggy.
yeah.
I'm spilling chug out my ears.
I love Robert Pattinson. I love Matt Reeves. Paul Dano just creeps me the fuck out, and so seeing him as a villain that's supposed to be creepy, is very fitting.
Which villain is it?
The Riddler.
Oh, great.
And he wears like a gimp suit.
Can you fill me in, Matt Reeves? What else?
The second two of the new Planet of the Apes movies. He also made Cloverfield. But the Dawn and War for the Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
It's the best choice for a really Batman director, I think.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I am excited for it. And it's one of these films that's like, I know it's going to be incredible, but yeah, I don't know. I don't get excited for Batman as well. That's another thing.
So jaded, Richard. So world weary. Oh.
You're being the opposite of chuggy, which a cursory Google search has told me means you are being trendy or trying too hard.
I would like. How many? Like, I know it's been said and done, but like, how many times can you say, "Oh, what if Batman was gritty?" It's like he's even grittier than last time.
I do like how the suit looks, and especially the cowl looks.
Oh, the fact that you actually see him with the eye makeup.
Yeah, and it looks
So
considerably different to every other like live action Batman we've seen so far. But when they first revealed the sort of a very like dark footage of what as in like literally you could barely see it, of what he was going to look like, I did think they were going to go for what he looks like in like his first appearance in the 30s, which is like these really round bat ears, and I was like, that's a cool idea, and then it looks like they're not doing that, so I don't know. But yeah,
probably shouldn't have even brought it up. Next we have
quit the podcast.
Next we have one, AJ, that you mentioned. March is a big month for us. With all of these movies, at least one of us has flagged. Turning Red, new Pixar movie about a girl who, when she gets anxious, she
becomes super cute.
She poofs into a giant red panda. Now it's on record that red pandas are by a large margin my favorite animals, apart from my two cats. And
where is two cats? Me and just a couple of cool cats. A couple of cool cats I do a podcast with.
The character design of the panda she poofs into, I just hate. It's not a cute animal. I know it feels like it's designed to be cute, but it's like if it just looked more like a red panda, it would be cute. Pixar's doing this weird thing now where they're almost going like Aardman with their animation, which is like Aardman's fantastic animation studio, but they've got their very distinctive mouth style, and Pixar's now doing that when it's like Pixar used to have completely different character designs every film. It's going to be released on Disney Plus, straight to Disney Plus, which
That's
is
a shame.
Yeah,
poor Pixar.
But yeah, it was due to apparently to Omicron, but it's the first Pixar movie solely directed by a woman, Domi Shi.
Nice. I think it's really funny that, like, in recent years, as the idea of toxic fandom has like risen and taken over film discourse, how be like, oh, they made Luke Skywalker jaded and cynical. Oh, they didn't adapt Batman the way I wanted them to. And Richard, in the most wholesome version I've ever heard of this, is the red panda isn't cute enough. They haven't adapted red pandas to be cute enough. I think that the red panda looks cute, but more so, I think this looks like a super interesting take on a coming-of-age story, and I'm just going to assume that I'll like it because it's Pixar, and I love Pixar.
Yeah,
so.
Sure.
Well, and also, the Domi Shi is the director of Bao, that short film.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, which I think augurs well for this being both very funny and also like getting the heart and humor balance that Pixar do really well right.
Yeah.
Writing down augurs well.
A-U-G-E-R.
It's actually
S.
A-U-G-U-R.
Oh, right. You are.
Yeah, I am.
What are you... Is this a movie coming out?
No, I just used the term augurs well, and Richard was Googling to make sure that I used it correctly.
No, I was opening a tab with it as a reminder to use it in my day-to-day life because I loved it. So
what was the word? What was the word like 5 years ago that I used, and then it just turned up in the podcast consistently from then on?
I'm not sure.
And I like messaged you No, it was like something that AJ started using, and I was proud every time I heard you use it. I was like, "Oh, I taught you that word. It's really nice."
I don't remember at all. Couldn't think of what you're talking about.
So a couple here that Jeremy you've flagged as being your most anticipated. The Adam Project, which is Sean Levy's new film. It's about Ryan Reynolds who goes back in time to confront his father, Mark Ruffalo. They're playing characters in the film.
Thank you for clarifying there, Richard.
Yeah, and he teams
it's a
up with his younger
documentary.
Yeah, so it's a Netflix film. Also stars Zoe Saldana, who's made a few appearances already because she's also in the Batman.
No, she
I
isn't.
don't know. I
she
think
isn't. That's Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz is also in Kimmy. It's a good year for Zoe's.
Hi, Zoe, who's listening to this. Zoe, who appeared on the trailer editor podcast interview. Yeah.
Is she going to listen to this?
Oh, she listens to all the podcasts that I'm on.
Aw, hi,
it's
Zoe.
Real cute.
Zoe, we never met formally, but hello, I'm AJ.
She's actually moving home this year. Moving home. She's moving to New Zealand this year. Whenever MIQ opens, and so she may be more available. But yes, she watched it. She listened to the Netflix Miss one like about 5 weeks after we did it, and so she was sort of like doing what I do to you guys on Facebook on Messenger, like
nice.
Just messaging along with it, being like, "Oh, I like this." It was really fun. Anyway.
So, anyway, yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on the Adam Project? There's not actually like a lot. No, like
a bunch of stills were just released.
Yeah,
I just think the idea's cool.
Like, I like it is a cool idea.
I like the fact that it's an original idea, original story. It's not based on, it's not a sequel, all that sort of stuff. And
I'm sure it will feel derivative though, because Ryan Reynolds is in it.
Yeah,
every Ryan Reynolds movie is a sequel to the last Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. But or a remake, basically. But I do think that Ryan Reynolds is very good with young actors. Julian Dennison aside.
No, but even then he's good. Like, it's Julian Dennison that's not good with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. And so I think that him definitely maybe is one of my favorite Ryan Reynolds movies ever.
That's a cool movie.
Is such he just has such a good rapport with kids, and there's something in him that just obviously like turns on. When
he's around
just
kids.
Part of his personality. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that, Richard, so I tried to move past it as quickly as possible because I knew you were gross. Anyway,
you see,
he's a father now. He doesn't find pedophile jokes funny.
Yeah, before they were hilarious.
They were.
So anyway, yes, I'm interested, and also I like the fact that it's going to Netflix, which means I'll be able to watch it when it comes out.
And also, same day maybe we've got Downton Abbey, a new era. Are you ready for a new era of Downton Abbey?
I don't think you're ready, Jeremy.
My body is ready. I'm prepared. No, this may be my first trip to the movies this year.
Wow.
Because I will
now
go with
that
my
I've
wife.
uninvited you to Jackass.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between, could there be two movies on the opposite, further on the opposite side of the spectrum? Then Downton Abbey, A New Era, and Jackass Forever.
But I love that it's like both of them are like re-ups of old properties that like. It's just one of them's a millennial property and one of them's a boomer property. But yes, no, that'll definitely be one where we get a babysitter and go out for an evening.
Very nice. I know a babysitter in Auckland. His name's Richard Martin.
He makes pedophile jokes. No, he's out.
You made the pedophile joke. I just observed it.
I just picked up the pieces.
All right. Next, we've got up the new film from the Daniels, who made Swiss Army Man. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Trailer came out, was apparently phenomenal. But I understood the reaction to the trailer and thought, I won't watch it. I'll just know. Apparently, the trailer's real good, and then I'll watch the movie. So it's not on my most anticipated, but I am looking forward to it.
It is on mine. It looks awesome. It's basically like it's taking the very in vogue idea of a interdimensional rifts that you've seen in like Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank and all these things. But what if the main character was like an old Asian lady? It looks great. It looks great. It looks really, really fun. If you liked Swiss Army Man for how weird that is, it looks like it's very much emulating that same spirit. So yeah, really looking forward to this.
All right, so April we're on to now. April 1st, very fitting date. One that I've marked, ironically, as one of my most anticipated. We've finally got the release of Morbius, which we should have already seen, but it got delayed at the last moment, allegedly for some reshoots, which we won't get into the details of. But yeah, part of me is kind of anticipating just how much of a mess this fucking movie looks like with the trailer that references like 4 different Spider-Verses. And what I'm sure is going to be bad, but hopefully an enjoyable time.
So let's break this down. In the trailer for Morbius, he makes a joke about Venom. He says, someone asks, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am Venom." And then he goes, "No, we are Venom." No, I'm just kidding. It's your old friend, Dr. Michael Morbius. And only the charming way that incredibly relatable character actor Jared Leto can do. And also in a previous trailer, or even in that same trailer, I think we see Adrian Toomes, played by
Michael Keaton,
show up as from Spider-Man Homecoming. And then we also see a poster for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the background of one of the shots.
Which is the render made for the PS4 game.
Yeah. So
and also the Daily Bugle logo from Tobey Maguire movies.
So, like, what are we supposed to expect from this? Because, first of all, I don't think Venom is famous in the Venomverse. I don't think he's known to such a degree that you could make a joke about being like, we are Venom, right? But that is also, before Venom 2 came out, spoilers for Venom 2, before Venom 2 came out, I would have begrudgingly accepted that the Venom movies have always taken place in the MCU, right? Like, we just haven't seen them. And that's why Adrian Toomes can show up. But we're shown at the end of Venom 2 that he crosses over universe. And so then you go, okay, so then is Morbius set in the MCU then? But then in Spider-Man No Way Home, Venom gets sent back to the Venomverse, where presumably Morbius is, but Adrian Toomes is still in the MCU. It's a big fucking mess, and
I think canon is overrated. I think Michael Keaton can play the same person in 2 different universes.
I guess if J.K. Simmons can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he also plays Birdman, and that's in a completely different universe.
Yeah.
and he's
true.
in Spotlight.
Yeah.
That's a different universe.
He's in The Founder.
Yeah.
Although I think The Founder actually is set in the MCU.
Well, The Founder's set in the same universe as Spotlight. A lot of shady things going on in the Catholic Church in the background of The Founder.
A lot of shady things going on at McDonald's in the background of Spotlight.
Spotlight, yeah. I got water all over my mouse. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that's right. The Idris Elba, who promised that he wasn't going to do a sexy voice for Knuckles, and then the trailer came out and people said, "You lied to us, Idris."
And he's like, "I tried as hard as I could, damn it."
Yeah, but like legitimately, yeah, he was like, no, it's not going to be sexy, and then he had to apologize again.
In a sexy voice.
So the Tails voice is this Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who is the only
Tails.
voice cast from the games to reprise a role,
which is also kind of weird. Like, why do either go all or nothing? In my opinion, I feel nothing for this movie. I don't even know if I really want to see it. I thought the first one was like, it was bad because it's a kids movie. Like, it just wasn't made for me, and I'm not really that excited, and not even that close to the Sonic Hedgehog IP. So yeah. I don't know. Be one to take your kids to, Jeremy.
Not yet, no. Ivy does not have the attention span for a movie yet, which I'm looking forward to when she does.
So we've also got Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Like, I haven't even watched the trailer for this. Like, I could not give a shit about this.
Cannot believe this is moving ahead with everything. Not only was the last one like certifiably one of the worst blockbusters of the last 10 years, like everything going on with J.K. Rowling, like how are people still letting this go ahead? And also, how funny it is to have created this like stupid controversy about having Dumbledore be apparently gay, but then not put enough context for that in the films to like honor what you're saying about the character, and then call the third movie The Secrets of Dumbledore. Oh, I wonder what the secrets are.
It's like, there's no secret.
I can think of, yeah, it's no secret, but he hasn't told us yet.
So this has Mads Mikkelsen taking over the role of Grindelwald. And
should have played him from the start.
Yeah,
and Kate
also,
Blanchett is taking over the role of J.K. Rowling.
Oh, God, I wish. This screenplay is written by J.K. Rowling and Steve Kloves, so she's finally got a
God, I hope Steve Kloves is carrying this. I hope he's the Hermione of the duo.
Yeah. So he wrote, or at least co-wrote, a film called Wonder Boys, which he was nominated for a bunch of awards for, and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry
Are
Potter
you just going to go through every single one of the Harry
Prince,
God.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Interestingly, not
Half-Blood Prince?
Order of the Phoenix.
Oh.
So he had a hand in a lot of the really good ones then.
And he's also writing and directing an adaptation of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, apparently.
Boy, does that feel like a movie that's been in production hell for 20 years.
Hated that book.
Really? I never read it.
Couldn't stand it. So, and not anticipating. Cannot.
Dumbest looking, anyone?
I don't know how it looks. I just do not care enough to watch the trailer.
Take my word for it.
It'll be a workman-like production. I always love seeing Eddie do his thing. He's really well cast.
Eddie, what's his name?
I can't honestly could not remember.
Redmayne. He is
Eddie
really
Redmayne.
well cast and tailor-made for a Harry Potter universe movie. But I've already been able to say that about 2 other movies that he's been in.
Totally.
So
And so
I'm gonna stop preaching how wonderful Eddie Redmayne is in the Fantastic Beasts movie because
the Fantastic
it doesn't
Beasts,
matter.
Yeah, the Fantastic Beasts movies should have just been one movie. Like, there actually just needed to be that's all it could sustain, and then
Starring Tom Holland.
and also to sort of turn this into a prequel series about Dumbledore and Grindelwald under the guise of a Fantastic Beasts. It's
stupid.
I mean, this has all been said before, but every time one of these comes around, the fact that it's got Fantastic Beasts at the beginning of it just is so stupid.
Because Fantastic Beasts is an interesting enough idea on its own to be its own movie, and we've talked about this hundreds of times, but even its own franchise if you were clever enough with it. And it's like, if you really want to tell about Dumbledore and Grindelwald, just make that a separate series.
Just call it Albus Dumbledore and the Closet of Secrets.
Yeah, people. That was very good.
Nice. So, one film that I just wrote down, AJ, because I thought it might appeal to you. We're All Going to the World's Fair. Apparently, quite a good film. 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a coming-of-age horror drama about a creepypasta role-playing game.
Sounds cool.
I thought it had a cool title, and
it does have a cool title.
It's about creepypastas, so I thought, there you go.
This title made me, for a moment, get very excited and think that this was finally the Devil in the White City movie by Martin Scorsese with Leonardo DiCaprio. And so I had to go and do a bit of research because that's set at the World's Fair in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I had to go and do it. And now it's being turned into a limited series by Hulu. And it's like not even a movie
God,
anymore.
Hulu got another one.
I'm so annoyed because it's like genuinely one of my favorite movies ever.
Movies.
Favorite books.
Did you see who replaced Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, there's no word. He's still attached to play Holmes.
He's not. It's Keanu Reeves.
Oh no!
Keanu Reeves playing Holmes.
Keanu Reeves
crazy.
playing a murderer would actually be quite cool.
Yeah. So Todd Field is Todd Field's directed the first 2 episodes. Cool. He made In the Bedroom and Little Children and hasn't made anything since 2006 until this year. That's really interesting. Well, we've all learned something about The Devil in the White City. So, 13 Lives. This is one that it may or may not actually be that good, but this is Ron Howard's movie about the rescue from the Thai cave from 2018, and just fucking, my god, I loved that story so fucking much. Like, I work in a newsroom, as you know, has been said before, but I was working like the breakfast shift at the time. So I would have to start work at 4 a.m. each morning, and I would get up, race to work because I just wanted to know the latest on the story. We were doing live crosses to Thailand, getting to the second sort of updates. And it's just like, how often do you get a story like that grips the entire world and is just this like edge of your seat thing happening live, and it's like such a positive, amazing story.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it has a happy ending. If it didn't have a happy ending, there would not be bids for this story.
Yeah, within like a month of it, there was 9 films in some stage of development. I think there's one already out. But
the God's Not Dead people got their hands on the
I really want to know who's playing Elon Musk.
Yeah.
What did he have to do with it?
Oh, do you remember he was like, I'm the people in Thailand have contacted me, and I'm fabricating a one-man submarine that can go through it. I'm getting it there quickly. And then one of the cave rescue guys was like, we don't need you, Elon. And he's like, you're a pedophile.
Yeah, that's actually, do you remember that, Asia?
I do now, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I love how I've never heard a good story about Elon Musk. Everything I've heard about him just perpetuates this.
He is truly the James Corden of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. But
very good.
Yeah, my god, it stars Viggo Mortensen and Colin Farrell, I think, as the 2 divers.
Is one of the Thai boys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say these are very white actors for what I would say sounds like an intrinsically Thai story.
No, the people who were leading the rescue effort, there was a team of British cave diving experts who lived in Thailand.
That's so gonna get criticised, and maybe rightly so, for turning
for
the story.
for real life.
What?
No. I'm saying for making it like a white savior story instead.
Well,
of
we don't
focusing
necessarily. Well, I mean, the white people did save them in real life.
I know they did, but I'm saying, like, surely the more compelling. I don't know. I'd rather hear about the counselor that went down with them, or whoever it was.
What the guys who got them stuck?
Yeah, there's a compelling character drama.
Yeah,
you know?
so you have it stars him. Oh, you maybe lose my place. Yeah, it stars Viggo Mortensen as Richard Stanton, Colin Farrell as John Volanthen, and Joel Edgerton as Richard Harris, not the Dumbledore actor. And then the rest of the names.
He's showing up, is he?
The rest of the names on the cast list are clearly Thai actors.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying, I hope we get enough of that story in the movie as well, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Like, you were very ready to cancel this film for casting white people as the white characters.
It would be funny if it was criticised in real life, because they were like, it should have been Thai rescuers. It would have made the movie more enlightened.
But yeah, this. I mean, it's Ron Howard, who can be hit and miss, but is usually like fairly reliable to deliver.
He's very workmanlike. If he's got good material, he can do it.
Yeah, and working with one of the most incredible things that's ever happened on this planet, I think, might be able to make a good film out of it. So yeah, I'm very excited. We haven't seen any trailers or anything yet. But
Apollo 13 actually didn't happen on this planet, Richard. It happened off the planet.
I mean, you said Apollo 13, not me.
Oh, sorry, 13 lives. Apollo 13 lives. Let's cram them together. They're stuck on the moon now.
And it's falling.
Oh, no!
It was a terrible sequel.
So, The Bad Guys, it's a DreamWorks animation film It stars Sam Rockwell, Mark Maron, Craig Robinson, Anthony Ramos, Awkwafina, Richard Ayoade, Zazie Beetz, Lily Singh, Alex Borstein.
I think this. I think. I think this. I watched the trailer for this movie, and I think it has a good premise that's been very muddled in its execution because essentially.
Why are they furries?
What? So it's about. Have you seen the trailer for this, Jeremy, at all?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's an animated movie about like the main character I think is the big bad wolf, and basically he goes like with other villains is like, hey, what if we actually became the good guys, etc., that sort of thing. But the problem with it is that the other characters aren't like public domain famous villains. There's just a shark and a spider and like there's scary
Mr. Snake, Mr. Shark, Mr. Piranha, Mr. Tarantula.
They're just scary animals. Whereas it's like if you have a movie called The Bad Guys that's about the redemption of people who are shorthands or creatures who are shorthands for the bad guys, I think they should be operating with nursery rhyme characters or fairy tale characters. I think it's not as you shouldn't call it The Bad Guys if it's just scary animals finding their redemption.
You should have like the evil queen and like the evil stepmother and
agreed.
It's described as having a similar twist on the heist genre that Shrek did on fairy tales and what Kung Fu Panda did for the Kung Fu genre, which I guess explains why AJ came out swinging against
it's very interesting to
no, AJ made a heist film available on one.
I just don't understand what they think they're doing.
I wasn't even going to say that. I think it's interesting to make that comparison between Shrek and Kung Fu Panda because I don't think of Kung Fu Panda as revolutionizing martial arts films like
Kung Fu.
In the same way that Shrek did for fairy tales.
Animation looks amazing though. Love the animation style. It's very into the Spider-Verse kind of thing. Next we've got one AJ you've put, which is The Northman, The Northman.
This is
Robert Eggers' film. The internet's new favorite director,
including mine, and I'm the internet. I'm hoping this will be the third in his trilogy of like gripping, terrifying dramas where you can't understand anything the characters are saying because the English is too old timey.
It's got Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman. Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Bjork, and Willem Dafoe. So,
I saw a trailer for this. It looks amazing. This looks so cool. I didn't actually remember the name of it. Because you were like Alexander Skarsgård, and I was like, oh man, he's in a couple of good things this year. It's like, nope, this is it.
Have you seen The Lighthouse or The Witch, Jeremy?
No.
There is previous Robert Eggers' previous films. They're really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like The Lighthouse, and I haven't seen The Vivitch.
The Vivitch. They're both. I think they're both really great.
One I had on my I crowned it the dumbest looking movie I hope came out last year, and it didn't come out last year. That's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I've still put it on my most anticipated. The trailer didn't wow me as much as I was hoping, since we've now seen a trailer. But this is the film where Nicolas Cage plays himself, where he's Pedro Pascal plays like a drug lord who hires him. Look, it's a fun idea. I think it's one that people are going to have a lot of fun with. But not as anticipating as I was hoping to.
I will go one step further with this, Richard. Of you saying the trailer didn't wow you, the trailer disappointed me. I was expecting like a Being John Malkovich.
Literally just about to make that comparison.
Like, I thought it was going to be like that. Like it was going to be like a true like the kind of thing you might see in the Criterion Collection and
Kaufman-esque.
Kaufman-esque, thank you. Perfect way to put it. But it looks more just like a silly utilization of the maybe couple years too old memification of Nicolas Cage. Like, I was really disappointed with this trailer. I think it just looks like a comedy, whereas it could have been so much more, especially with that premise, I think.
I'm unanticipating it. But next up, we've got in May, and we might just get through May, and then we'll call it a day for this podcast, and we'll do the rest of the year next time. But you've got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, both you and I, AJ, have put this as one of our most anticipated lists. This is a really interesting one because this was announced a few years ago as being like the MCU's first horror movie, like first truly scary MCU movie. And then Scott Derrickson, who's, cut his teeth on horror, left it. He's also got another movie coming out this year, which I did write it down.
The Black Phone.
Yeah, it's coming up next time. He left, and then they hired Sam Raimi, who's obviously also got a great horror background, but also a superhero background. And the trailer came out, and it looked kind of spooky. And then it's now getting massive reshoots, and they're saying we're going to make it so wacky. By all accounts,
it's going to be called also, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Wackiness. Yeah. Actually, scratch that, Doctor Wacky and the Multiverse of
and the
Wackiness. The Wackyverse of Wackiness.
So yeah, the interesting thing, there's a lot of don't want to get into what's rumored or leaked or whatever, but yeah, there's supposedly some crazy cameos. People are saying this is going to tie Endgame or beat Endgame for like the most Marvel heroes appearing in one film, and it's allegedly, I saw a thing today from someone saying like, careful online now because there's a cast list leaked for Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, which reveals all these kind of cameos. But I do kind of hope that once we get to Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, we're done with the era of Marvel, which is who's going to cameo on it.
Yeah, I think I've marked this as most anticipated more out of obligation because I'm invested, for better or worse, in the MCU, something which I am starting to feel is passing some kind of hump for me. Like I liked Spider-Man No Way Home a lot, but like the oversaturation of this franchise now in both TV form and movie form is starting to get to the point where I've been reminiscing over when I actually didn't invest and hadn't seen them all. And I think it's getting too much. And I'm worried this is going to, here's what I'm thinking. Leading up to Multiverse of Madness, I'm going to be saying like the bottom's going to drop out, like the bubble's going to burst, it's going to be too much, we're all going to criticize it, and then it's going to come out, and I'm going to be like, that was awesome, that was really good, and then a few months later I'll be like, that wasn't that good. And I'm anticipating all of that.
I can't wait.
What was the first animated Spider-Man? What was that called?
Into the Spider-Verse.
So Into the Spider-Verse. That's the last thing from Spider-Man that I consumed. And ever since then, all I've heard about is multiverse. And it feels like cryptocurrency. Like hearing people talk about the multiverse aspects to Spider-Man and the MCU and how it seems like every part is... It's like people talking about like, oh, the world just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just like, I just don't care. And it's all just going to fall down soon. So I'm not going to invest.
What it really is the merging of narrative and IP ownership. Like working the IP ownership to be a metatextual element in the story. And I agree, it's a slippery slope and something that I'm finding myself increasingly cynical about, even if the movies wow me still,
Yeah, it's just like, there's too many multiverses now, and I'm so disinterested. I just want them to tell a good story. Like, there's being clever. There's being clever, and then there's like there's telling a good story whilst being clever, and then there's telling a story that just proves how clever you are or how much IP you own. And it's just I'm just so not interested in that. I want them to just make a good movie with characters that do interesting things, and it feels like it resolves and there's reality to the emotions and relationships.
Yeah, I walk the walk of being anti-Disney monopoly, and yet I talk the talk of someone who's very excited to see bleep 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 and bleep bleep bleep.
I think you mean that the other way around. You talk the talk, but then when it comes to walking, you actually walk into the cinemas and give them your money.
Correct.
Well, here's a movie that might be more your speed, Jeremy. Sneakerella coming to Disney Plus. After falling in love with Kira King, the daughter of basketball star and sneaker tycoon Darius King, an aspirant Queen sneaker designer gains the confidence to pursue his dreams of becoming a professional sneaker designer with the help of his best friend Sammy. and his fairy godfather.
Did we not watch this for Netflixmas like 3 years ago?
This as bad as this sounds and looks, I do have to say, a couple of weeks ago, I went on Letterboxd and clicked 2022 and spent about 20 minutes just looking at movies that were coming out. And for some reason, this is the one I remember seeing the poster for that actually made me go like, oh, like it's cool to be at the precipice of a new wave of cinema coming to, and I guess streamers. Like, for some reason, this is the one that sticks in my mind when I remembered getting excited about how many movies are going to come out this year.
Well, another very exciting one is DC League of Super Pets, which is about the Justice League being captured by Lex Luthor, and then so Superman's dog, Crypto, forms a team of pets who were given superpowers. So stars Dwayne Johnson as Crypto, Superman's dog, and Kevin Hart as Ace the Bat Hound. And you've also got Vanessa Bayer as Wonder Woman's pot-bellied pig, Natasha Lyonne as the Flash's turtle, who acquires super speed, Diego Luna as Chip, a squirrel who acquires electrical powers and becomes the Green Lantern's pet, and John Krasinski as Superman, and Mark Maron as Lex Luthor.
I think the best version of this movie would have notes of Lego Batman and maybe a bit of Spider-Verse. Like, I think there's a way that this movie could be really fun. Like, it's that new, again, it's similar to what we we're just talking about with like the way
I was just about to say, we just had a conversation about this of just like make a movie because you have the IP, not because it's actually a good idea for a movie.
But it's a flexing of IP which shows the ability to not take it so seriously, which I think is a nice refresher after getting grisly, grim versions of those same characters earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up watching this. I quite liked Crypto the Superdog, the animated series, growing up. Next, a movie that I had the shocking realization a few weeks ago that it's still coming out. There's Top Gun Maverick.
This has got to be, due to COVID, this has got to be like the longest one to have been delayed, right? The longest big movie to be pushed back.
Yeah, well, in terms of like it was ready to go, it was that would have come out in 20. Because there's ones that have been delayed, but it's because they couldn't film it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, even still, it's probably, yeah.
But like that same reason I never ended up watching A Quiet Place Part 2, because the ebb and flow of the promotion got me tired. I feel like this is, I mean, I guess there hasn't been a trailer.
Well, you can only have movie blue balls for so long, right?
Exactly. Yeah. For a sequel to a movie I haven't seen, so probably wouldn't have seen this anyway.
Yeah, I want to be excited for this. I want to board the Top Gun bus.
There's a joke to be made in COVID essentially. There's a joke to be made in COVID essentially taking this movie out of, the
danger zone.
No, it was more around the fact that
come on, you can do it.
Took its breath away.
Let's no way to make this joke.
Work it out. Just what are the pieces? We'll put it together.
In the first movie, they use "Take My Breath Away" as like the romantic lead song for like five times. They do a needle drop of "Take My Breath Away," and
COVID.
COVID is a respiratory illness. But
do you know what? I reckon you've laid out the pieces. Let's let the fans decide.
Look, the Discord can do it.
The Discord, make a joke about this, please. We implore you.
So, probably the last
the lowest effort thing I've ever done on this podcast.
The last one we'll talk about for now, it brings us to the end of May. I know what you're thinking. We're not halfway through the year yet, but as we get on throughout the year, we have less information about the films, so it tends to speed up a little bit. So, the Bob's Burgers movie. Do you guys watch Bob's Burgers? Have you ever seen it?
I've seen a few episodes here and there.
About a season's worth.
Probably enough to watch the movie happily if it gets good
quite
reviews.
Enjoy it, yeah.
I have never consumed a single moment of Bob's Burgers.
You'd probably quite like it. It is quite
I think you'd like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy nods on a podcast. Thank you. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, that is the end of the episode. Tune in next time where we're going to discuss such films as Lightyear, Bullet Train,
And
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
that can't be real. We'll talk about it. We'll talk
people,
about it.
you've got to give them something to look forward to. There's got to be some movies that they actually want to hear talked about.
All right, so some ones you might actually want to hear us talk about. They've got Thor: Love and Thunder, Jurassic World Dominion, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, Avatar 2, Knives Out 2. Would be a big
Again.
one. What?
Take my breath away.
So tune in for all of that in 2 weeks' time, everybody. That's going to be the dumbest looking films of 2022, Part 2. And let us know from this first lot, maybe what you guys are most looking forward to and what you think is the dumbest looking films. Out of this first half, I'm going to maybe surprisingly probably give it to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Because Moonfall will be dumb, but in a way that
It's
it
delivering
knows.
on its premise.
Exactly. And Uncharted, I don't think will be... I actually just don't think Uncharted will be as bad as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So that's where I'm putting my money so far, but we'll see. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please do support us on all the places. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Popture. You can join the Discord. There'll be a link to that in the show notes. You can subscribe to all our podcast platforms all over the place there if you haven't already, and of course support us on Patreon, where if you donate $5 you actually get to give us something to talk about in the post-credit scene of each episode, which is coming up now after this music ends. Tune in next week for our Before Trilogy episode, and then a week after that will be our most dumbest looking 2022 part 2.
Most dumbest.
I'm calling the episode that.
Hello and welcome along to the post-credit scene.
This is a segment. Sorry,
Yep.
do you want to do it?
No.
I've got it memorized, and I was going to see how far you could get with it.
Well, I was doing it more off the. Jeremy's here too.
Jeremy's still here.
I can never leave. Even though I think out of the 3 that I've been here for, 2 of them have been entirely inappropriate for me to be here for them.
This is a segment at
Do
the
you
end
want
of
me
each
to scroll through and
episode.
find one that's appropriate for you, Jeremy?
This is a segment at the end of each episode where if you donate $5 or more over at patreon.com/cultpopture, you get to give us, me, Richard, and Jeremy something to discuss in the post-credit scene. Richard, what have you selected from our wonderful little collection of post-credit scenes?
Right, so I've got a question here from Craig Major.
Mm-hmm.
Major pain in my ass. Who says, here's my question. What is a question or topic that you've always wanted to be asked for a post-credit scene, and please answer it? Jeremy, now's your time to shine. Tell us what an appropriate post-credit scene would be for you. Who's your favourite child?
Oh, definitely Ivy at the moment. Yeah.
Wow.
Is that like a thing that like it's once you become a parent you understand that it's like it's actually not taboo to talk about your favorite child?
Once you become a parent, it becomes apparent.
Yeah, no, I mean everyone knows. But the thing is that the answer can change from day to day, which is why you don't feel too bad about about answering it, because you're like, well, all parents know that. Like, it's just, I think also when your children are really little, it's fine to talk about which one's your favorite. It's just when like your kids are in their like teens and 20s and 30s that like the answer seems a bit more stable and solid, and it's like, oh yeah, it's too true.
Yeah, you're not coming back from this. Yeah, well, I know because I know Craig has 2 young daughters, and yeah, I'm sure he is a favorite.
They've actually both been on the podcast, as well as your children, Jeremy. Now, for anyone thinking, what the fuck does that mean? They were our spoilers. They were our special guests on our Barbie episode.
That is super cute.
Start of last year.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a better question than that.
Yeah. Well,
surely.
This is a classic post-credit scene where it's like I've thought of an answer to this before,
but it's like an extra layer of that where that's literally what the question is, and I also can't think.
Yeah,
I would say,
I've often used the post-credit scenes to just tell a story that I've thought of telling. And I mean, like,
and now when you have
everyone
carte
has-
blanche, you can't think of a story.
Well, I mean, everyone has like 2 or 3 good stories at least. Like,
Well, mate, is
and-
that what you want the question to be? Is what's a good story from your life to tell?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I mean, my like, do you guys have, like, if someone said to you, "Tell me a true story about yourself," what would you do? You have one that you would say,
I
like,
would
a
probably
go-to story?
I've told this on the podcast probably more than once, but I would probably tell the story about the time I ran into Brett from Flight of the Conchords twice in one weekend in a city I didn't live in. That was pretty fun. That's probably the story I would tell.
The one that I tell that, like, that a story that it's like, I know this is a good story, is the tale of during the Christchurch earthquake in 2011 that I was going to be the only person or one of 4 people with my 3 friends that would have died having been up the cathedral spire when it collapsed, but I didn't have $3.
Very spooky.
That I was just like, fuck
and
it,
if
don't
I
look at some flowers.
if I could answer one question that I want to be asked for a post-credit scene,
So who do you have a crush on?
it'd be who do you have a crush on? And the answer is the girl listening to this. Oh boy.